This time around, for the fall 2024 Anicord Contracts, I'll be reviewing Gurren Lagann and Golden Time, recommended to me by my contractor, the Morning Star. These anime are very different. I also took a very long time making this video because I'm lazy as hell. Not to mention all of the sound effects, memes, everything I've used on my previous videos, including my previous videos, were wiped permanently because my SSD decided it just wouldn't work one day. So this video took a little bit longer in the development section. Now, of course, I can't start the video without shouting out the wonderful staff of this server. I just want you guys to know I do my best with trying to put everyone in. I'm only able to see who's online, so it's very easy for me to miss somebody. I still appreciate each and every one of you guys. Of course, before I begin, spoiler warning, if you haven't seen either of these anime, or one but not the other, there will be chapters in the description. Now, let's begin. This is an anime that doesn't take itself seriously, and I love it. This was just peak. I'm not gonna lie, my brain was off most of the time. It was just me pointing at the screen going, "Robot go kaboom, hee hee." I love this anime, because like I said, it doesn't take itself seriously. So if there's a moment of, how the did that happen? It's just because it can, dude. Deal with it. Which makes it so much more relaxing than having to keep your brain running 24/7 like some other anime. I love those kinds of anime. Some of my favorites are in that category. Both types are wonderful in their respective areas, but it's nice to take a break from anime that can be mentally taxing, so this was really refreshing. The opening was a banger. This may be the first anime I've ever seen use an opening for every single episode, but I'm not complaining. I think it's great. The first ending was interesting. It's kind of whack, not so much with the animation, but more so the vocals. It felt a little bit out of place, but it actually kind of grew on me. The second ending was fantastic, and I just vibed with it. It was really good. Taku Iwasaki composed the soundtrack and did not miss. There's never a dull moment when you've got great music that just fits how goofy or badass anime can be. Music has such a massive impact on how viewers feel, and great soundtracks lend to great anime. The animation is really good for its age. I watched Kill la Kill a while ago, and it's still so impressive how far they've advanced. It's so cool looking at it knowing they'd go on to create even more amazing and brilliant animation. It gives you a lot of respect for what these guys do. And the art style and animation lends to how unserious the anime takes itself. But I love it when it does get serious and changes the tone. And even though it didn't happen often, it happened at the perfect time and for the perfect reason. Like the flick of a switch from optimistic and ready to fight to depressed with nothing left to give, leading to one of my favorite arcs and a perfect example of an anime knowing its true self. Simo's depression arc for me was perfect. Kamina's death was tragic. It had me gut-wrenched. In many other anime, there'd be of course the grieving stage and then some sort of training or power-up to become even stronger and gain back that confidence that the main character had lost. But there isn't that. There's no power-up, no training, it's all in Simon's mind. That's what's been established from the very first time he piloted Lagann. This entire time, the power level or skill of a person was based on their fighting spirit or how much heart they have to give. And at that point, Simon didn't have any. He'd barely had any before that point. Most of it was him believing in Kamina. It wasn't until he could finally believe in himself that he could go past the boundaries he'd set. It's not a very long arc, and I'm not sure if people like it that much or not, but for me, it showed how good the writing can be even in an anime that doesn't take itself seriously. The fights are insane, and a big reason of why I love the anime. Remember, animation can only take you so far. Writing is what elevates it, and when you have an easy-to-follow power system, it makes fights way more enjoyable. While the power levels in this anime are simplistic, and every fight it's easy to understand who the winner is. I love the characters. They're all goofy and fantastic. I'm not going to delve into every single character, but I do want to talk about the characters that I feel deserve to be talked about. Liron was the clutch god when it came to fixing up stuff with Gurren Lagann. And how did he do it? He's just that good. Don't worry too much about the details. Kitan's introduction was one of those I just didn't think I'd ever like him, but he grew on me and is genuinely one of my favorite characters, maybe top 3. His introduction is also very interesting because he's brought in on the one episode where the animation and art style are very different. I was taken aback when I was watching, thinking surely I haven't been tripping and not noticed there was a change. The reason was because of a special guest director, Osamu Kobayashi, who was a friend of the staff and producers. It's not to say he was terrible, but the sudden change in art style and animation caused conflict between the fans, and the studio quickly brought back Hiroyuki Imaishi, also recently known for his impact in Cyberpunk Edgerunners. Anyways, I'll get back to Kitan, but I thought that was a really interesting piece of history for this anime. Kitan's annoying at first, but later on becomes an integral part of the team and really carries. A perfect example of just because they're a side character doesn't mean they can't make an impact. Dude had a fantastic finale. Dayaka was a great leader and a solid character. Someone's got to be the one to hold the ship crew together. Buta, from the start to the end, what a sidekick. Bro was actually a clutch god in episode 25. I was not expecting that reveal. Rosyu was great at first. I really hated how in the second half he kind of turns. I get he had to do what he had to do, but he could have at least warned Simone and everyone else instead of being secretive about it. I do like his redemption, and it is a great callback to episode 8. Viral is kind of funny, because the entirety of the first half, he's kind of a menace just because of how annoying he is, showing up at every fight, and then in the second half, they're just like, listen man, you weren't much of a threat, welcome to the team. He's a fun character to watch, but he really shined in the second half, teaming with Simone. Of course, Simone is amazing, and I love his arc becoming the leader of Gurren Lagann and gaining his confidence. He's fantastic in both parts, but in the second half, he really shines, and I just love how much he resembles Kamina. But my favorite character is Kamina. Just the best friend you could have. The hype man, the dude who believes in you when they don't even believe in themselves. The true embodiment of fake it till you make it. Nothing would have happened without him. He's truly built different. Rest in peace, bro. Yoko is fun to watch, but she doesn't really contribute much compared to the others. She's cool, but I kind of hate her design. I'm not gonna lie, they got a lot of inspiration for Kill la Kill from her design. There's a ton of progression in this show from what feels like a short period of time. A lot of the first half is more so for world and story progression, and the second part builds and fleshes out the world that they've built. I love the use of the time jump. It's very creative. Thank God it didn't disrupt the story, and the progression of the world and the characters made sense, so I didn't have to sit there wondering what had happened. I do hate how unlucky Simone got with Nia, and how she just so happened to be anti-spiral. Dude just couldn't catch a break, but he handled every situation like a Chad, just like his bro would. All in all, from the first half to the second, it was a wonderful experience. I'm gonna give this a 9. I haven't made a video with a rom-com anime, which I'm kind of glad because most, if not all, are very prone to the tropes that make up the genre, which just gets repetitive and boring to watch after a while. Don't get me wrong, I think there are some great rom-com anime out there, but the majority are different concept, same execution, and this anime literally sticks to that same idea. Different concept, same execution. The openings and endings basically sum up what this anime is. Okay, but not great. Animation-wise, they don't need to go crazy. It's a rom-com. In the first 2 minutes, you already know Coco and Bonri are getting together. It's literally in the opening. Like no matter what happens, they'll end up together. It really makes the entirety of the show boring when you can kind of just telegraph the episodes and the importance of the plot when it all comes down to what you had gathered in the first 2 minutes. It makes the reveal and getting to that point very slow and drawn out, even if they do get together in the 7th episode. It's also insane how forced Coco and Bonri are. They feel like they have no chemistry, especially since Coco is insane for Mitsuo in the first couple episodes. It's hard to imagine all of a sudden Coco has a thing for Bonri after however many years she and Mitsuo had been friends. She'd just immediately drop it. I get it, Bonri was her only friend and basically a simp, but she was literally at the point of stalking Mitsuo. And I thought that maybe Bonri's amnesia would play into making the story more interesting and not as telegraphed, but it goes basically how you think it does. I mean, even with his other personality, it's a back and forth and nothing really happens except for a couple arguments and moments that go nowhere, and they don't really start to show up until the very end. For me, the characters made this a difficult anime to watch, especially since the main love interest was just so annoying to me. Coco's introduction is painful. She's literally insane. There's absolutely no reason for her to move colleges and, like I said, stalk Mitsuo. Coco is one of the most clingy anime characters I've seen, possibly ever. Her whole personality revolves around whoever she's most infatuated with, and honestly, I thought she'd start to grow on me, but I just did not like her. The entire time. She's so selfish, bro. Imagine the girl you're dating tells you she wants you to forget all of your memories. And like, it's not about Bonri just forgetting being in love with Linda. It's literally everything before his accident. Memories that he holds close to him, not just about some girl he liked. I just don't understand why the anime takes the time to put these characters in situations where they do some so-called self-reflection, when in the next episode, they go and undo whatever the they were reflecting on. It's literally taking one step forward and 2 steps back. Bonri is kind of in the same boat. I didn't really like him that much either. He's a yes man who goes along with everything until he's not, and it's very random at times. Like episode 6, bro started acting like a Chad. He was done doing everything for everybody else and confronts Coco and Linda. And then by the end of the episode, he just goes back to normal. And for some reason, he feels the need to defend and have pity for Coco a lot of the time. But she's straight up a bully. It makes no sense. I got very upset with how quickly these characters resolve things that shouldn't be resolved so quickly. Episode 12, for example, Bonri's literally about to make out with Linda. Why did Coco not break up with him there? And then straight up, less than 10 minutes later, they're confessing their love for one another. It just shows how forced this relationship is, and it drove me insane. I really think Mitsuo was way more interesting than Bonri, even with Bonri's amnesia. I mean, seriously, I was questioning in the first couple episodes if Bonri was even the main character, because he really was not that interesting. Mitsuo's also hilarious. Bro literally says what I was thinking the entire time.
I mean, I was briefly surprised, but it's not a shock for them to end up together. Honestly, I figured at some point they would date eventually.
Mitsuo is goated with everyone, especially with 2D. He's the side character who should have been the actual main character. 2D and Mitsuo are goated as hell. It was stupid as hell not focusing on fun side characters. Chinami is straight up the female side character who gets no conclusion because she just doesn't matter to the story. That's about that on her end. Her and Mitsuo's plot was stupid and unnecessary, especially since it goes nowhere. Linda. What a moron. She literally caused this whole story to begin and lies like a third of the time, and she also gets no conclusion. This anime is so funny, not in the way that it's actually funny, but funny how it develops, because it goes from some serious situations, like episode 3 dealing with a cult, or episode 16 getting in a car crash, and then immediately putting that, those things on the back burner and worrying about romance, which is insane. I get it's a rom-com, but how are we gonna let the cult thing slide? It's upsetting because they put all of the interesting things like past Bonri gaining his consciousness and Coco breaking up with him in the last 4 episodes. I'm not gonna lie, it was a challenge for me to get to that point, so I just didn't give a when it happened. I knew it would happen, and I knew it would be resolved. It was only a matter of time, and of course they do it when most, if not all, of my interest is lost. I genuinely think this would have gotten a way higher score had it been a 12-episode anime, because 24 episodes was just way too long. Like, actually, this was kind of painful for me. I'll give the anime props. The main couple got together within 7 episodes, which for most rom-coms is unheard of. Usually it's a season or series finale, but this anime is mediocre and kind of painful to just watch 24 episodes of something that loses its interest in what felt like the 4th episode. I'm gonna have to give this a 7.